Welcome in, along with Mike Renner. I'm Steve Palazzolo, and today we're previewing the National Championship game. We're finally there, Mike. It's Alabama versus Clemson. I think it's pretty clear these two teams have been the two best teams in the country. I'm sorry about Notre Dame.
It's all right. No.
In the tough loss. But I think clearly the two best teams in the country, they're filled with future NFL talent. Should be a good one.
Yeah, we didn't need a third playoff game. We didn't need to extend to 8 teams to know that these are the two best teams in the country. I don't even think it's really that close at this point after watching what Clemson did to Notre Dame and Alabama to Oklahoma. It should be a good one. I think this one will actually be a close game, much better than the semifinals. There are some good matchups to watch. Clemson's D-line versus Bama's offensive line. Those Bama really wide receivers against the Clemson secondary. And then Trevor Lawrence, true freshman quarterback in the biggest game, on the biggest stage. He hasn't flinched yet. Is this going to be the time he does?
I like it. You set up all the good storylines. Let's get into them. Let's start with the quarterbacks, Tua Tagovailoa and Trevor Lawrence. You mentioned Lawrence first. When you go back and watch that Notre Dame game, he just doesn't miss too many throws. And, you know, he makes a few spectacular throws, and it's almost like the worst throws he makes are 50-50 balls that his guys, Justin Ross, T. Higgins, can go up and get. He's pretty good at that, just throwing that 50-50 ball. Trevor Lawrence, a mistake-free true freshman year, pretty spectacular for a guy with such a big arm and the ability to get the ball down the field.
Yeah, and I think Clemson's skill positions almost get underrated at this point because none of them are draft eligible. No one's talking about T. Higgins for the draft because he's only a sophomore. No one's talking about Travis Etienne for the draft because he's just a true sophomore as well. And again, Trevor Lawrence as well. So those three are the three best players, all either freshmen or sophomores. And what Lawrence did in that game against Notre Dame was unbelievable. That offensive line did not play well. He was under as much pressure, if not more, than Ian Book, but he was getting rid of the ball quicker. He was breaking tackles, getting outside the pocket, and then making plays. Again, just did not miss throws. He was when he had a throw that was open, he was hitting it, and that's the biggest part of the game in college football. Guys miss a lot of throws in college level. To have a guy who doesn't, it's been huge for them.
Yeah, and he's only had a handful of turnover-worthy throws all season. Again, just spectacular for a true freshman. And then you have Tua as a true sophomore, and we saw him last year when he had his opportunity as a true freshman, leads the Alabama Crimson Tide to the national championship in the second half against Georgia. He looked like he was healthy again after a rough SEC championship. He comes out, and I know Oklahoma's defense is not good, but when you still have tight window throws, you still have to make them, and Tua made a number of throws with exceptional accuracy. This quarterback matchup is as good as it gets in college football.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic to watch. He looked fully healthy back from that injury in the SEC championship game. Looked like the Tua we had come to expect all season long, but again, it's going to be a little tougher matchup. Clemson's defensive line is no joke. I don't care how good your offensive line is. They're going to win that matchup. And the biggest thing is Alabama has been predicated on they can run the ball against every team every single week. Has been in the Nick Saban era, that's been their calling card. All of a sudden, I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball against Clemson. I think with Cleveland Farrell, Christian Wilkins, if Dexter Lawrence is back as well, I'm not actually sure if he is or not.
I'm assuming he won't
be. So no Dexter Lawrence, but even still, you have enough talent there up front that I think they're going to get the job done, stop the run. So that's going to make it come down to Tua Tagovailoa's arm, but he has some special playmakers there on the outside that I think are going to win that matchup as well.
4 legit NFL talent wide receivers and NFL talent tight end. The Alabama receivers, whether it's Jalen Waddle, he brings some just pure speed to the table as a true freshman. Jerry Jeudy, some shiftiness as a route runner. We saw Henry Ruggs go up. He makes some spectacular contested catches. Devontae Smith really good with the ball in his hands. And then Irv Smith at tight end. 5 legit weapons going up against Clemson's cornerbacks. You got A.J. Terrell, Trayvon Mullen on the outside, Kayvon Wallace back there. And then Isaiah Simmons was one of the best players on the field for Clemson. Kind of a safety linebacker hybrid. He might be the guy charged with slowing down Irv Smith at tight end. But I just don't know how you cover these Alabama wide receivers. Clemson's got a pretty good secondary that's gotten better and better, but they should be overmatched by what Bama has.
Yeah, Isaiah Simmons, you mentioned, is their highest graded player in that secondary, but he's more of an overhang linebacker safety hybrid position for that Clemson defense. Not going to be covering much deep, more underneath zones, and it's the deep ball that's been really what Alabama's had this year that makes them so much different from years past, is they're so efficient passing the ball down the field because they have so much talent at the receiver position.
And they do a good job. When they have one-on-one matchups, Alabama is aggressive. When they get single coverage across the board, they're letting guys like Jalen Waddle and Jerry Jeudy get open down the field, and they're attacking it with Tua's precision passing. And then when you talk about the Clemson defensive line, Cleveland Farrell against Jonah Williams. When you talk about future NFL players, I don't know if Farrell's a first-rounder like a lot of people are saying. He's still a very good college edge defender. But Jonah Williams looks like the best tackle in the nation, the #1 tackle off the board in the draft. This looks like a really good matchup.
Yeah, it is a very good matchup because basically they've relied on Williams all season long. He doesn't give up pressure. He's given up less than 1 pressure a game. So when you have that guy on the left side there, not the blind side with Tua in there, but the left side there of the offensive line, the stalwart like that, you just can rely on him he's going to do his job every single play. That just gives you that confidence as a quarterback when you can step up in the pocket and not have to worry at all about pressure being in your face. That's not going to be there, I don't think, this game. Even if that matchup, Farrell versus Williams, might be a little bit, Jonah, I'd still give him the edge in that matchup. Across the board, there's matchups that do favor, Christian Wilkins going up against that interior is going to favor Christian Wilkins. So I don't think the pockets are going to be as big. It's going to be Tua's biggest test yet in terms of what he can bring to the table.
Yeah, and even without Dexter Lawrence, Clemson has excellent depth across the defensive front. And we've made it this far into the video without even mentioning the best player in college football, Mike, Quinnen Williams, Alabama defensive tackle. That's how loaded they are. He didn't have his best game of the year from a PFF grading standpoint the other night, and he had 9 pressures. He had 9 pressures, and he was blowing up running plays. They were putting him at head-up nose over the true freshman center and letting him just blow up plays, taking out multiple blockers. Quinnen Williams is as unblockable as any defensive line prospect since Aaron Donald. So Clemson is absolutely overmatched with their interior.
That's the biggest mismatch. That is the biggest mismatch of this game, is them being able to block Quinnen Williams. You just have to have a game plan for him. You can't let him go single blocked against this Clemson offensive line. That's not going to get the job done. He's going to win every single time. So have a game plan for him. That's the only real way you can plan on even getting him negated in this one.
All right, so we'll get a quick prediction from you, but I don't think all year we were talking about Alabama. They're in just their own little stratosphere. Mm-hmm. Once Clemson went to Trevor Lawrence, they did bridge the gap a little bit. Yeah. When we're talking about talent in the trenches on both sides, at the linebacker level, in the secondary, at receiver, both teams very, very close. I still think Alabama has the edge. How do you see in this one?
I lean Alabama as well. They're just too solid across the board. Clemson has some holes, but I want to see what Trevor Lawrence does. If he puts together another game like he did against Notre Dame, it'll be a close one.
Yeah, so I think Alabama as well, but if you do get the epic, not a true freshman moment, but a legendary future Heisman moment from Trevor Lawrence, it could change the outcome for Clemson. So there you have it. We're both taking Alabama, but should be one of the best national championship games in recent years.